Hello everyone, welcome back to the course Sustainability for Future Generation Concepts, Technologies and Global Practices. Now in this video we will discuss about the circular economy second part, that is waste recycling in module 2. So first of all, myself Dr. P. Swaminathan, Associate Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Prasar University, Warangal. So in the second part of the circular economy, as we are well we knowing about what is the meaning of circular economy. So it's where we are think about the triple R formula. So where we'll recycle, reuse, and re manufacture or recycle it. So waste recycle is one of the best point of view where we can think about the recycling of any waste coming from the different industries. So in this session, we'll detail investigate about what is the recycling option when you go for the circular economy. You see that recycling support is one of the best way when you think about the recycling part. So if for every industry there will be possibility of the waste byproducts which are coming from the, so then the product was manufactured, then the product life cycle was completed, then we are supposed to think about how to extract again the raw material from the material. So that is called as the acquisition of the raw material process. So then the recycling of the end life the treatment will be given. Then we'll think about the design in a proper way to reform the original position of the material, raw material. Then we'll go for the reduce of the production impact of the utilizing of more amount of the virgin materials. So it will call as a retransformation system. Then you will go for the, again you are going to give of reuse or repair. Then the collection of the raw materials. Final destination with the minimal amount of the waste will be generated from this recycling approach of the material, whatever the lifetime was completed. So you see here recycling requires less energy than the new production. Obviously, whenever you go for just you will apply for some extrusion method, then you will go for the industrial energy consumption is reduces. So it will help to the lower the carbon emissions. Then the flow of circular economy will be very good. So as the material are continuously reused and recycled, so then will comes as the waste becomes the input for a new process, and we have the ensured resources and energy are efficiently utilized here. So that is the main impact of why we are supposed to go for the circular economy, which is going to be used for the waste recycling methods adopted. So in this session, we'll go one way to other way. What are the different ways are generated? How the circular economy will impact in the waste recycling. So see here, waste recycling is a mechanical recycling process. Wherever the waste is generated, it may be different forms in different industries. So it will be going for different zones. So involving a physical process. First of all, we are supposed to think about what sort of waste is coming from. Then you have to think about the processing, whether you are going to sort it out, whether different flakes, plastic, collecting and sorting out, washing and shredding out, removing of hard chemicals. Then you have the melting if it is a multiple waste material. So common for the plastics, paper, glass and metals. So we have to think about which sort of waste is recycled to be recycled. For that we are supposed to adapt the what sort of methods can be adopted. Whether you use a flakes, you can go for the plastic waste or collecting of the plastic waste. Then you have to sort the material in a proper way. Then you have to washing it out. Then for removing of hard chemicals. Then you have to grind it. Then it will come from the flakes. So here where you are supposed to use it for any other purpose of manufacturing. So that was the one of the best way of recycling of the waste. So how we are going to process the different waste into cost effective and you have to maintain the material structure. So that was the one of the agenda of preparing of this waste recycling in a proper way. So maintains the material structure without the chemical changes. That is the one of the important parameter where you have to think about. So without changing the chemical changes, if you make it as maintain the metal structure, then it will be the cost effective and widely used method was the waste recycling approach in circular economy. So if you are not adapt to this waste recycling approach, there will be chances, highly chances will be possibilities that the waste will be going to the landfills or the open source. So you have to cut down that. We have to think about for every material. You have to think about the how we can recycle and reuse it for the manufacturing of different products. That is the main agenda of this circular economy integrating with recycling, that is waste recycling. Then coming to the chemical recycling, there are a lot of chemicals come from the waste byproducts, so breaks the waste into the basic chemical components from different industries. So, petrochemical industries, maybe dyes, textile industries, maybe fertilizers industries. So, we have to think about what sort of recycling adoptions can be adopted for this suitable complex and contaminated plastics will become. You see here is clearly a sorting of method is called shredded and heating of electricity and pre-sorted plastic weight unwashed and you have to shredded and you have to sorting about different and densifier and pyrolysis method can be adopted if possible, then condensation method, then we can get the pyro oil or new plastic consumers. This is the end product offer recycling of this plastic where we can go for the pyro gas, then you have the heating of or electricity will be gen, then again you have to shed it. So these are the some of the flow cycle of the recycling of this waste plastic into the waste product, pyro oil or pyro gas, whatever it may be, we can generate the new fuel or new raw materials from the new products, whatever it may be possible to way, we can use it out. So some of the new products which we can manufacture the raw materials from the new products we can do it for so enables the recycling of raw materials, so which is not suitable in all the ways for the mechanical methods. So these are some of the important aspects we will be discussing about in the when you are going for the recycling of different waste materials. So here we discuss about the plastic, how much different startups we can do it and the nearby, so then we can integrate with this municipal solid waste and we can chemically recycle this one, so that will be helpful for generating of new products. That's why integrating of circular economy with the recycling of different waste. So coming to the role of informal work sector. So before speaking all these things, we should learn about how to the waste pickers and scrap dealers should be deals. When we want to adopt any new technology or new adoption, there should be a proper flow chart or proper flow should be there. So role of informal sectors what includes the waste pickers and scrap dealers. So they will buy the scrap from the waste pickers, from there will be responsible for a large share of the waste collection and segregation. These people will be help us to segregate the large amount of plastic weight, and the dealers will be selling out from buying about from the pickers. So it will be provide the livelihood to the many of the urban poor which are living there nearby. So it improves the recycle efficiency, but lack the formal recognition of these people. Why? Because we'll see them is not a clean people, but these are the people who will helping us in a large ways, where they are collecting the large amount of the waste in the plastic, maybe different waste, but they are paying for that, and we are not recognizing them properly. That was the main important. This clean India is the for better tomorrow. Is should be we should be adopting each and every community, engage the different peoples, that will be help us the Swachh Bharat mission which is implemented by the government initiatives. So all every community people should be engaged this Swachh Bharat mission. Already it was there, but still there is a lot of scope here. So which will promote the cleanliness, and the waste management process will be perfect. So this waste will be generated, whatever the waste generated from the households or any industries, it is directly forward to the recycling unit or which are the instated plants which are situated at the municipal authorities. So it will encourage the segregation of the waste at the different sources, supports the development of recycling infrastructure. That was the Bharat mission helps us, implements the policies like extended producers responsibility EPR. So that was the main agenda of this implementing of Swachh Bharat mission. We have to clean our communities in a better way, and you have to produce from that waste we are generated, that you have to think for the recycling in a better position. That was the main thing we have to understand, why this sort of schemes will help us to make the clean India scheme. So all here that's what I said, it's a responsibility of every citizen, not about the governments or industry people. It's every individual responsibilities. We have to get together, and you have to community engageable, and you take your own responsibility to clean the society in a better way. So you have to get into the light, and every week you have to make the awareness programs and cleaning of the streets as well as your livelihood communities. So that was about the recycling role of informal sectors people, where the people will collect the different waste, and they will be give to the scrap dealers. Then the scrap dealers will sell it out to the incinerated or recycling manufacturing unit people. Then waste to energy technologies, how to implement that. Once you got the waste, what are the technologies should be integrated into the circular economy. You see the pollution control system is so clearly mentioned that. So a nitrogen oxide removal system is there here, and mercury and dioxin removal system is adopted in the second step, and acid gas removal system is adopted, particulate removal system, then pollution control test will be adopted. That will be useful for the water vapor, and clean fluid gases will be generated. This is how the tipping hall of trash storage bunker will be there, then it will be generated from here. So you see here, burning of the waste at high temperature to produce heat and electricity will be generated. That is one of the way where you can go for the incineration process. So anaerobic digestion system is called biogas system, where we can use the organic waste, where from these high temperatures reduce the high volume of the significantly up to 90%, where you go burn this waste, municipal solid waste or another waste suitable for municipal solid waste highly. This will be reduce of large amount of content, so that we can reduce the landfills and landscapes, whatever the things we are getting the contaminated by the soil, so we can utilize it as the burning at the high temperature, that is incineration, then we can generate the electricity. So then was next step is about the anaerobic digestion system. So this anaerobic digestion system is one of the important factor. Why? Because so it will break down the organic waste in without oxygen. So what will happen if you do this? So it will produce the biogas methane and digest it. So then it will be ideal for the food and agriculture waste production. So whenever you got the food and agriculture waste, organic waste, you just go for the pre-processing unit, and you can develop this anaerobic digestion, that biogas system at any place. So once you did this, so depends upon the quantity analysis, how much amount of anaerobic digestion we can do. So by a biogas system, so we're from organic waste, so we go for the sorting and shredding and mixing about, then you go for the digester without oxygen, that is fermentation process, we'll call as the fermentation process. So then we go for the anaerobic digester, fermentation without oxygen, then it will create the biogas here. So without oxygen, it's a closed loop actually. As is, olden days, more of organic waste from come from the animals, they used to do it in a closed loop, then you will get the biogas. That biogas will be used for the heat energy, that will be converted into soil composite, then it will digest to product liquid and fertilizers, then it will liquid fertilizer will help us in different forms. So these are the outcomes of this biogas systems, where you can go for the power system supply, and you go for the electricity generation, and heat energy also can be used for this. Solid composites will generate the heat energy, whereas the digestate by the byproduct is the liquid fertilizer, and liquid fertilizer will help us for the growing of the plants. So these are all things will be help us to get the waste to energy technologies can be. That was the main important way for the clean energy. So this clean energies come from the recycling of the waste into the electricity generation. That was the main adoption of this, suitable for more for plastic and rubber waste. When you go for the first adoption of glue glasses can be developed, and another organic waste can be generated of heat energy, then the electricity will be generated. So this is how we can useful uh, small startups and nearby communities, we can generate this side of things, we can generate more amount of electricity without the wastage of organic waste. Our anaerobic digestion system can be adopted as well. Medium scale industries can be adopted for this, and the small communities are engaged. So this is one of the important factor we have to discuss, why this type of waste to energy technologies are most useful in the circular economy. Next one is the gasification. So gasification is one technical form where it will convert the waste into signature gas, that is CO plus H2, using of limited CO2, or that is oxygen, which can generate the electricity and fuels. You can see the flow chart for this one. For a gasification, whenever the biomass is inserted in the gasifier, it will steam and oxygen will be supplied. Then the based on the cyclones, it will be generated at a signature gas cooler, then this the scrubber will be there, and sulfur removal will be happen, then amino scrubber, then the clean signature gas will be given as the outcome of this process of the gasification method. So main exhaust gas will be go outside, then you have the reactor and polishing bed, and ft synthesis, and pressurization and ft fuel. So these are some of the important flow chart where you have to think about the gasification process. Then you have the waste plastics, then you have the catalyst removal, and you have the pyrolysis reactor, you have to go for the condensation of the whatever the pyrolysis reactor is done. Then you go get the fuel gas as well as the mixed oil, which can be used for the fractioning of the tower or gas and gasoline or diesel oil. These are some of the important parameters where we can get the pyrolysis process from the pyrolysis process. This was the pyrolysis process, and this one is the gasification process. So you can see the decomposition of waste at high temperature without oxygen. What will happen? It produce oil, gas, and char. So this will be help for the suitable wax and rubber waste. Most of the things we'll be using about this. So that was the one of the best way where we can integrate into the different zone. So that why when you think about the recycling, we have to depend upon the what sort of process and what sort of waste we are getting. You see here, when you talk about the waste energy technologies, first is the incineration is the possible for the most of the organic waste, that is municipal solid waste, and then is the anaerobic digestion, which is used for the organic, which is coming from the food or organic agriculture waste. So that will be one of the best method of adoption to the waste to energy technologies. Then is the gasification. Where is the gasification? When is the cost? When is the converting the waste into secondary gas, that is CO plus S2 using the limited oxygen. So it can be generate the fuels as well as the electricity. Next is the pyrolysis process, that is the decomposition of waste at high temperature. The pyrolysis is one of the important adoptions for the waste which is coming from the plastic as well as the rubber waste without oxygen, as it is similar to that anaerobic digestion system, but it is useful for the plastic and rubber waste. So solid waste, that is the agriculture waste or food waste, organic waste. This will be the inorganic waste, can be used for the decomposition method, which can be pyrolysis at high temperature. So that was the important way we have to think about the how we can generate the clean energy from the waste. That was the recycling process. That what is the benefits of doing all these things? How we can be benefited? How will society will be benefited? So one of the some of the benefits we'll be discussing here in the flow chart as well as in the systematic diagram. So let's see the one by one. So first thing is going to be reduce the landfill and the waste pollution. That is the best way. So then we have generate the renewable energy. So then we have the helps in the waste management efficiency. So you see here, these three are very important because why I'm taking these three parameters is we can see that is the direct impact in the landfills waste and pollution will be created. It will be created in the local communities. We cannot go in that way when your large amount of dump was created there. So huge amount of bad smells will be appeared and the local body, local region, whatever the communities are, they will be totally they will collapse because of insufficient of air quality. So because of this we can reduce by using of these all methods. We can recycle, it can regenerate the renewable energy because of this waste to think about, and helps in the waste management efficiency, recovers the value from non-recyclable waste where we cannot recycle it but we can generate the electricity from that. That was the recovers value. So what are the limitations on these processes? Even though we think about highly initial investment and operation cost is very high because it deals with lots of waste segregation, centering and all these things. So definitely there will be high initial cost. Definitely a scheme will be implemented by the government of India, which can help us to the startups or entrepreneurs. So emission concerns in this now, if not properly controlled, yes, obviously if you are not doing properly, definitely there will be a large amount of emissions will be going to the atmosphere. So requires segregated and consistent waste supply should be there. So if it is not supplied continuously, we cannot go for the running of the industries or somewhere. So that was the most concern we have to limitations. So then the nearby public and regulatory challenges will be there. We have to give the policy regulation schemes and as well as the governance will be given by the government. So based on that only we are supposed to adopt this type of um, recycling methods, that is clean energy technologies. So you can see here in this one, 10% of the cost of projects typically due to of changing of orders, and 30% of the project due to not meet original program or budget, and 37 materials are used in the construction become waste, and 38% of carbon emissions are coming from the building, not cars. 92% of the planners say that not at all information available when the plans are made. So these was the main limitations. We have to think about the disadvantages what we have seen. So we all should understand how to sort out all these things, and we have to integrate the sustainability aspects to make more amount of sustainable to limitations of the CO2 emissions into the atmosphere and global warming potential should be high impact. So like to understand each and everything, and we have to adapt to these types of policies, and we have to integrate in this one. So we'll discuss some of the case studies in India. So why? Because some of the people will be discuss about the Indian case studies. So waste energy plant which is situated in Delhi, Okla, Gajapur, which will be most thing is to convert the municipal solid waste into electricity. So what is the happening here? Reduce the it will help us to reduce the landfill burden and urban pollution. So this was the main agenda of this setting this huge amount of waste to energy plants in Delhi. Okay, because of in Delhi, it's a rapid urbanization, industrialization, lot of industrial waste, municipal solid waste will be generated every year, every annually or every day. So it's supposed the renewable energy goals as is one of the important criteria. This is one of the case study where we can sort of ACLA, where it's an important impact is very high. This was the major concern should be given. This sort of things will be integrated with all the cities which are situated in India, not only Delhi. So we have to go for the Hyderabad also. Lot of municipal solid waste will be generated. We have to think about immediately recycling and using of for the other purpose of generating of electricity or some other purpose. You have to do segregation and you have to immediately implement this sort of things. Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, all the industrial areas, whatever are there are urbanized areas, cities. They are supposed to implement this sort of waste generation plants, which will help us to reduce the lot of landfills as well as the pollution of the nearby soils. Then we have the plastic recycle initiatives are there. How you can recycle will be plastic waste into road construction. Already is a lot of implementation there. They are burning of the plastic and they are constructing of tar roads. So it is adopted in India already. A large of this is one of the case study I am discussing. I'm not discussing about the plastic recycling here. How initiatives will help us to case study what are the plastics are recycled and they are using of the bitumens mixing in the tar roads, bitumen roads that will help us to recycling of large amount of the plastic because as we know that Atmanirbhar Bharat is one way where your large amount of infrastructure and large of connectivities should be go on large amount of highways are going nowadays. So by implementing the sort of initiatives which will help us to recycling of large amount of material into the beautiful roads which will be highly durable and improve the strength. That is one of the best way to recycle the plastic waste into the road construction widely adopted in India. Why? Because large amount of plastics are came, then it is a recycling adoptions was done in the road construction process, which will also not only utilizing of the waste is highly durable and strength is improved. So it reduce the plastic pollution significantly in the landfills as well as the ground contamination, soil contamination. So it is encouraged by the government and local bodies to be utilized in the road construction. That is one of the best case study of initiatives how we can use the plastic reduction. So how we can recycle the plastic into the useful product. That is one of the case studies in India. So then we have the economy startups for circular economy. So most of the cases when you think about circular economy startups, we have to think about what are the different startups works for the waste collection and recycling. Why? Because we have to think about what sort of waste are coming from different industries or organization. So then we have to think about the technology for waste segregation and reuse purpose, whether they are going to be reused or not. Then you have to promote the sustainable business models to the local bodies. Then the generate the employment and innovation will be adopted. This is how the circular economy startups will be start. So when you think about the no plastic, you have to throw it in this bucket, which is the waste and all plastic bags you can throw it back. When you want to recycle this side, no cups, only you have to throw about the glass type of things, beverages. So these are some of the important concepts should be incorporated in households as well as the nearby communities when you are segregating the. It is very easy process. So what is the real world impact on this one? What could be the benefit on this action process? So we can see that most of the cases there will be reduction in the waste as well as the pollution, which is clearly visible here. So it was increased high energy generation from the waste process. So then you have the improved urban cleanliness and sustainability aspects are integrated. When you see this sort of adopting of segregation process in the starting stage itself, there will be a lot of improvement in the segregation process. Then we go for the contribution to the circular economy for the development of in India. So it will boost our a lot of benefits. We are going for thinking about the waste to energy cleanliness technologies. Then you have implement to the startups programs. Then you go for the new jobs and new adoptions to the circular economy startups. Helps to where we can boost up the circular economy. So that is the one of the best way where we can ideally think of this. So when we want to do as a individuals, we cannot do it. So that's why there will be need for this integration of this circular economy to the government policy and initiative should be started. So national policies should be supporting of circular economy. So it will help us to gain lot of incentives, so that only you can enhance that what kind of the benefit you will be getting of supporting of circular economy. It should be promoting of resource efficiency and waste minimization process. Most of the case they should encourage the reuse, recycling and sustainable production. So then they will be support development of circular economy frameworks will be developed. Then the focusing of reducing the environmental impact analysis can be done by the industries and how we can reduce the environment impact, and integrating with national sustainability goals. That is, national sustainability goals should be adhered, and then you have to policy guided agency like Niti Aayog. So these are some of the policy incentives which should be think by the government agencies. Then you have to think about the what sort of renewable energy targets will be given for this. Once we given initiatives and policies, we are aimed for the share of renewable energy in total of capacity. That is the main important thing. When you got incentives, you cannot say that I cannot generate more amount. So there will be a targets for you, that is called renewable energy targets. So where you can focus on the solar, wind, biomass, and hydropower. So in this one, which are the highly possible for each every region. So we can go for this. Then we go for the target for 500 gigawatts non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030. So it will promote the clean and green energy transition. So supports India's climate commitments, Paris Agreement. That is one of the where TRIPS agreements are Paris agreements, where the climate commitments will be done by the Paris agreements. So these NGOs will help us to have the maintaining of SDG goals, and as well as creating of more amount of renewable energy rather than defining about non-fuel capacity by 2030. So definitely we will achieve that SDG goals which are related to clean energy system. So then this sort of things will help to boosting about our economy in different ways. You can decrease the impact on the fossil fuels which are importing from other countries like petroleum products. So that was the important way where we are going to targets in different aspects, that we have to think, and all together we have to work together, and government policies and initiatives will be given. Then after we are responsible for the extended producer responsibility is one of the key role. What is this extended producer responsibility? So makes producer responsible for post consumer waste management. These are the people who will be organizing in a better way, that is called EPR. So applies to plastic, e-waste and packing materials, encourage the eco-friendly product manufacturing design, and promotes the collection and recycling and the safe disposal of these products. So that is the one of the best way. So reduce the burden of the municipal soil waste systems. This called as the extended producer responsibility is what? So make producers to consumers, post consumers waste management. So then we have to strengthen our accountability of manufacturers in different way. So that was the accountability of manufacturers is very important. So why? Because they should be accountable for the generation of carbon emission and waste. So it will be giving the more amount of accountability, how much of waste is generated, how much of disposals and recycle can be adopted. So which can be useful in different startups. Then there's a smart city mission is one of the better idea of focusing on efficient urban waste management system should be adopted in a proper integrating with AI technologies. Promote the sustainable infrastructure and the clean energy usage. That is, the smart missions are always to be adapted for the new technologies should be given with net zero energy buildings. Also encourage the digital monitoring of the waste. That's what we are discussing. With through AI modeling, we can digitalize the monitoring of the waste and resources coming from different households or as well as the industries. This is one of the important aspect where we can think about how to digitalize the monitoring of the waste resources. Then supporting of recycling of the waste to energy product projects, how to create the waste to energy, net zero energies and waste to energy technologies, clean energy. So it will improve the urban living standards. Obviously, air quality as well as the CO2 emissions will be helpful. So we have to think about the living standards as well as the cleanliness of the public domain. Altogether will help us the how the smart city missions will be integrated with the sustainability goals that will be having the most amount of high impact in the economic boost up as well as the circular economy. What could be the benefits when you think about the benefits of circular economy? You have to think about the environmental benefits. What are there? It will be most of the causes. It will reduce the air, water, and soil pollution. That is, the air pollution will be reduced, and water pollution and soil pollution will be mostly it will be reduced, because when you think about the waste cell generator, it should be recycled and it should be generate the new electricity or new product. Definitely there will be possibility of no dumping of waste different sites. That will be happily we can safeguard the soil nearby land, and water, open source water cannot be decomposed because of this waste. And air is also, air quality will be improved. Minimize the waste generation and landfill usage will be very higher. That is one of the best way of adopting of circular economy. Invest the natural resources like water, minerals, and energy will be highly safeguard. It will be conserves more amount of natural products. Then we go for the lower greenhouse gas emissions, which will help us to improve the air quality. So, in terms of environmental benefits, it will be highly feasible and highly beneficial for the society. by adopting of circular economy. So then we go for the economic benefits. So what sort of economic benefits we have? So most of the things when you think about the circular economy, there is a possibility of recycling units or remanufacturing or regeneration or waste to energy cleans. So there is a possibility of creation of new job opportunities in recycling and green industries, because the normal industries cannot be adapted this one. So someone should be adapted to this green industries. Then only you can reproduce or recycle and reuse. So reduce the production costs through reuse and recycling adoption in the circular economy. That was the main impact of the using of these recycling methods of circular economy, which will help us to again wherever you the product was started, again we are using the same product in different way. That was the main adoptions of the recycling, reuse, and triple R formula is adopted. That was the main intention of production cost will be reduced. Then promotes the innovation and sustainable business models in all the aspects. Yes, whenever you think about the innovation is there, that will be sustainable business model only. In the long term feasibility it will be adopted. So then you have to improve the resource efficiency and productivity. Obviously when you think about the circular economy, every idea, every design will come from stating that how can reuse or remanufacture and how can increase its design life. That was the main efficiency and productivity of the life will be improved. Then social benefits will comes from the enhance the public health by reducing the pollution. As we know that when you reduce the waste which is generated from different industries, will be enhance the public health by reducing pollution, improves the quality of life, living condition nearby communities, supports the livelihood, especially informal sector workers. They will be adapting because these are the people who will collect lots of waste generated from the different industries. This is the people we have to recognize and give the consent credits to them. So encourage the sustainable consumption habits. That is the one of the best way engaging the communities in a better way. And challenges and barriers are there always. Whenever you adopt the circular economy and waste recognition, there will be lack of public awareness and the participation is one of the thing. We have to give the awareness programs. Limited waste segregation at the source. Yes, there obviously there's a limited one. We have to think about how to get this one. Inadequate recycling and process infrastructure. The government of India should be think about, and you have to start off minimum in medium scale industries, and highly investment cost is there and operation cost is very high. That's the government should be give the incentives at the starting stage. Then after they can be think about the profit, then slowly they will be increasing about this operational cut down this operation cost. So financial constraint for adopting new technologies, obviously there will be a huge amount of investment should be given. So then we have local, the very weak policy enforcement and implementation gaps are there with government incentives to be adopted. Governance policy integration is needed. So poor coordination between the government, industry as well as the stakeholders. So once you've done this coordination system, definitely there is a possibility of getting of a large amount of benefits by the circular economy, waste to clean energy and waste recycling process. So the future scope of in India for adopting of this one is where we can adopt the advanced recycling of waste to energy technologies and growth of digital tools, AI, IoT for smart waste management. As I earlier told, we have to manage this waste management, strengthening the government policies and regulatory frameworks, increased focus on circular economy integration with industries. That is one of the best way. Active participation of individuals in the waste. Yes, I said individual growth is individual people should think about the segregation, reuse, expansion of renewable energy from waste and biomass. So opportunities for research in sustainable materials as well as concrete recycle aggregate waste biomass binders should be improved. Collaboration between academia, industry, and government for innovation startups. All these things will be done only through the collaboration and integration through sustainability aspects only. So this is the summary of the sessions of part 1 and part 2. I hope you people have enjoyed. Let's discuss about some of the summary point. So in this one, I have detail explain about why circular economy is needed in India, especially when you go for the triple R formula. Promote the sustainable use. So use of resource, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Then helps in the efficient waste management and reduction of the land. So that is one of the best way where we have to think about. So supports the clean energy, tubular formula, and efficient waste management, reduction of the landfill burden is gone. And we discuss about how we can do that. Supports the clean energy and through the waste to energy technologies also we have discussed. Contributes the reduction in the carbon emissions through environment protection we discussed. And enhance the economic growth through job creation, cost savings is one of the best way. Improve the social well-being and the quality of life, and requires the strong policy and infrastructure. Public participation is required. Plays a key role in achieving the sustainable development goals in India by integrating of government incentives as well as the industries, academia, research people should be collaborate and engage. So I request all the individuals to be combine each other wherever the possibility is there. Try to adapt to the circular economy. Every industry people should adapt to this, especially in India. So thank you for listening to this video. I hope these are some of the references for part one and part two. So you can contact details of me. You can get through me through LinkedIn or email or mail, or you can comment on my YouTube video. Thank you for the viewers and subscribers for viewing it and liking the video.